Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar that we will do together with Google and Redeal. So my name is Jonas Hagström Theodorsson, and I work at Keywordio and specialized in business development for global e-commerce companies. So yeah, with that, I would like to hand over the word to you, Emil.
Yeah, thanks. And welcome to this webinar, and also welcome to Redeal and Keywordio.
Thank you.
To the Google office here in Stockholm. So as Jonas said, my name is Emil Andersson. I work in the ads partnerships teams, which means, it's a global team. We support 600 partners globally, where these partners work with tech development, so innovation on top of the ads API. So that's our core focus. Our core focus is to work with partners who build solutions on top of the ads API for their customers. So happy that you're here today, and also that you invited Redeal. Today's webinar is about customer lifetime value and how to turn your most valuable customers into micro-influencers. Google's products has been known to find new highly qualified customers, but also to engage with existing customers. And for Google, still, most of our customers use our products to target quantity. So acquisition of multiple, a lot of new customers. But that is since quality is very hard to measure, and it's been very hard historically to measure still. And that's an opportunity. So, as a result of that, advertisers are focusing on optimizing for one-time sales instead of like a lifetime value. And that's what we're going to discuss later on in short today. There are research that says that 20% of existing customers drives 80% of the future profit. That says it all. You really need to identify which are your most valuable customers and to really work with those customers. It's not just the tools and technology challenge this. This is also about the legacy mindset of many of the customers. Legacy mindset in terms of approach to measurement and KPIs and legacy KPIs. And to apply these strategies within Google's, you need to really use a combination of many of our products, and that's where you need a partner like Keywordio that can help you with that. With that short intro, I wanted to hand over to Jonas from Keywordio to talk more about how your take on this.
Yeah. So before we start the presentation, I would also like you, Victor, to please introduce yourself and also a bit about Redeal.
Yeah, absolutely. I will speak more about Redeal later. My name is Victor. I'm CEO of Redeal. We help our e-commerce customers mainly with referral marketing, which is basically turning your best customers into ambassadors, making them micro-influencers for your business. And we've been discussing this ahead of this webinar, and I think that our work with referral marketing and how to do that ties really nicely into how to work with lifetime value and putting the focus on your most valuable customers.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to speak more about that a bit later.
Yeah, cool. So let's switch to the presentation. As Victor and Emil mentioned, we will focusing on micro influencers and lifetime value. And my background is that I've been working. I have a background in engineering, and I really like data. But I don't think just data and advanced simulations and the latest algorithms is really the important thing. I think combining business understanding and asking the right questions, I think that is even more important, because when you really do that and asking the right question, actually it's quite easy to just execute on those targets. So if we look into one of the challenges for retail and e-commerce today, so this is a study that was done by Svensk Handel last year, and this shows us the the profit margin of the lowest performing quartile of retail companies. And the blue staples, that is the growth of e-commerce in Sweden, for example. So we see that coming from a really tough margin, when e-commerce started growing really fast, actually that will be an even more important challenge for many companies. And with negative profit margins, of course, that is not going to be a sustainable business. So I think running an e-commerce company or a retail company, it's really to keep track on who is your most valuable customers, and how do you make sure that you're really focusing on acquiring them in the process. So if you look at Google Ads, so what you have today is that, and this is also something that our founders, Daniel and Morten, when they worked at Google, that they saw at Google Ads is a fantastic platform, and you have like a lot of different opportunities. But the only option you have today to allocate your budget for the different strategies is really, if you simplify, it's pretty much cost per click. You could optimize for conversion or cost per acquisition, or you can optimize for revenue and return on ad spend. And this is really something that we see is so important, specifically based on like with the challenge on profit. So what we do is that we build technology, as Emil mentioned, combining the Google Ads API and build technology so our customers can do analysis and execute strategies for focusing on profit or lifetime value. And for the e-commerce space, you typically see that if you have a returning customer that maybe comes back once half a year or even once a year, really like seldom buy, then you should probably focusing on profit optimization. Because if you're only focusing on revenue and you have a quite big spread in gross margin for your products, you probably not allocate your budget the optimal way to maximize profit. But more what we focus on today is a typical e-commerce customer, that if you know that you have a returning customer somewhere around once or maybe twice a month, then you should probably look into lifetime value. And this is what we have done to build technology to automate this. So how should you set your targets? So here are 3 example buyer personas. So we have Anna. She has an age of 18 to 24. She lives in a large city. We have Erik, 35 to 44, lives probably in a smaller city. And Thomas, the age of 25 to 34, lives in a city part of Stockholm, for example. So if we would only use a strategy to drive or control the cost per click, then based on this, Erik would be the choice, because that is cheapest to buy in, for example. But if we take it one step further and look at the cost per acquisition, the CPA, so that we see that, well, you actually need to buy quite a lot of clicks because the conversions rate isn't that good for Erik. So then you see that each conversion is actually cheaper for Thomas. So that will be 150 SEK. And for that, then you will try to buy in a lot of Thomas for your budget. And then if we take it one step further and then look at, so what is the value of each conversion? So then we see that actually, well, Erik has a quite high average order value, for example. So we have a return on ads spent of ROAS of 6 for him. So if you're running on a ROAS target, then probably Erik looks like the best one. But then include the later on what's happened, that we see that Anna is coming back once or twice the coming month. Then we actually see that the lifetime value for Anna is actually the best. So this is just to visualize why lifetime value is important. And it's not about how you calculate the exact lifetime value. It's more like a principle, like what is the recurring frequency you have for your customers, and how often do they come back, and really look at the data and how you could optimize for what is the best for your business. And just calculating the lifetime value, that is not the case. This is not what we are looking for. So take, for example, you look at in January, you have the first purchase and you have an average order value of 430 SEK. And then you look in February, that customer comes back through organic and you have a second purchase. And then in March, you have a third, and in April, you have a fourth. So the point here is really, we want to estimate the predicted lifetime value. So when we are here in February, we want to look at the Anna persona, and we want to estimate what is her predicted lifetime value, because then we can make sure that we allocate the budget to buy in more Annas, which we know that will be the best for the business in long term. So this is really what you want to do. And of course, we want to do this prediction as early as possible. It would be great that we knew in December, for example, that Anna will have the highest lifetime value, because then we can really focusing on spending the marketing budget on that person. So how should you think about lifetime value, and also how should you evaluate if this is something that is interesting or something that you should do for your business? So here are some do's and don'ts for lifetime value as we think about it. So the first thing is really, don't start with a super advanced evaluation of all the data you have and really try to do everything. Start with really pen and paper and do a simple estimates, ask the right questions, and do an estimate on the number of purchases per month, per customer, look at average order value, and then make an estimate on the lifetime value over 3 to 6 months, and really do it on paper, because this is a great start for you to make estimations where you end up in the future. Assume your average value over time, product or categories represent the truth. So for example, if you look at the recurring frequency of your customers, if the average for your whole Google Ads account is maybe once a month, what is really the standard deviation? So don't assume that these average numbers represent the whole truth. So really look at the standard deviation, evaluate based on different time intervals, maybe different product categories, campaigns, and also use, like Emil mentioned, the 80-20 rule to understand, like, where is the largest parts of our revenue coming from, and how does those customer look like? Because if you have, like, maybe if you have 8% of the revenue coming in from a customer type that actually comes back every month, well, then you have a good case. If you have the largest part of your revenue coming in from customers that don't come back that often, yeah, then you should probably go on and focus on a profit strategy instead. Don't start by testing a hypothesis without estimating how much time or how many conversions you actually need to qualify or disqualify your theory. So really, based if you do the 2 first steps really good, you should have a clear estimate that, yeah, if we run this hypothesis for 3 months, we have enough data, and based on that, we can actually decide if this is a good strategy for us or not. So really think about how much data you need to really disqualify or qualify the theory. And the last part is really, if you start acting on the data with a manual approach, then you won't be able to capture all the details, because you will probably have a lot of products, categories, and really make sure that you run an automatic and can prove your case with a smart way of doing it, that continuously learning, and that you're refining your predictions every time you get more data in. So those are some do's and don'ts on lifetime value, and how we think you should look into if this is something for your business or not. So with that, that is really what we're doing at Keywordio. So building technology, using business insights and intelligence to really, how can you evaluate on profit or lifetime value, and how you can optimize for that, for example. So getting all the power from Google Ads and turn it into your business strategy. So with that, I would like to hand over the word to Victor to tell us a bit more about Redeal and micro-influencing and referral marketing.
Thank you. Well, like Jonas was saying earlier, I think it's very important to stress that for many years, I think e-commerce companies have been very focused on growth. And as margins become lower or competition is growing, profit is becoming more and more important to also take into the equation and working with your most valuable customers. So we call this referral marketing or micro-influencer marketing. And I've just thought I'll start with explaining the difference between micro-influencer marketing and what you would call maybe normal influencer marketing. Let me start by just asking a question, like, do we think that today's influencer marketing is losing efficiency over time? And the answer is yes, we think so, at least to some extent. And why is that? Well, if we look at different platforms, social media platforms, we can take Instagram, for example. It's getting easier and easier to see the difference between paid influencer marketing and actual voluntary referrals and recommendations. Which makes them less trustworthy, I would say, or less impactful. More and more companies are pursuing influencer marketing in the social media space and other spaces as well, which means it gets more crowded, it gets more expensive, and there's more noise to break through. All of these factors contribute to a lower return on investment on traditional influencer marketing over time. And our take on it, and what we typically see when we work with referral programs for customers, is that as people, we tend to trust our friends and family way more than we trust celebrities or other authorities. Even if celebrities or someone who has like a big influencer Instagram account makes a real referral, by now we have almost started to assume that they've always been bought. It doesn't feel real, so to speak. But if you're a good friend or a mother or father or someone, maybe your spouse, gives you a recommendation, this feels much more genuine. So micro-influencing marketing or referral marketing is simply that. It's actively harnessing the power of word of mouth and making sure it happens more often than it would just on its own. So is this effective? Well, if we look at some studies that have been done by independent people, we would say that 83% of consumers trust referrals from people they know, and people are 4 times as likely to buy when they have been referred to a business or a product by a friend. If we look at the referred customers, they are on average 18% more loyal, they spend 13% more, and have 16% higher lifetime values than non-referred customers. So this ties into the lifetime value that Jonas was speaking about earlier. Customers who are referred are 25% more profitable, and they're 4 to 5 times as likely to, in their stead, refer new friends. So it really becomes a chain of people recommending each other. And 49% of customers surveyed say that their friends and family are their primary source of brand awareness and how they value one brand over another. So if we'll just look at the data or the statistics, the case for referral marketing is very strong. But what's the problem? Well, it doesn't happen often enough if you just let it happen organically on its own. So when we work with customers of Redeal, our primary goal is to make this referral process as smooth as possible, as effortless as possible, and also incentivize it so that customers do it more often than they would organically. If we look at what differentiates really successful referral programs from other less successful ones, I would say that we can see 3 main factors that make them stand out. First of all, you need to have a really smooth and easy to use process for making the actual referral. If it's complicated or it takes too much effort, people just won't do it. It's really important that we have relevant timing, that we offer the customer the possibility of making the referral at a time in the buying process that makes sense for the customer. For example, you probably don't want to recommend something that you haven't really tried yet. Maybe like at the start of a buying process and you're as a first-time customer, it's kind of hard to know if can I really recommend this to my friends or not. And also we see that if there's a good incentive for someone to become an ambassador, they're much more likely to take that step. Is it worth it working with referrals in this way? Well, if we look at the average statistics for clients that we work with, we see that about 20% of their customers will actively send a recommendation to one or more friends if offered the possibility. Out of these recommendations, about 6.5% on average converts to new orders, and giving on average 22 times your money back as a return on investments. So I would say the KPIs for working with this type of marketing on top of your Google Ads marketing and other parts of your marketing mix really gives good results. If we just look at some do's and don'ts that we've seen when working with different clients, I would say that, and this is no matter how, like if you're setting up your own referral program or if you're working with a partner such as us or someone else, I would say these are very general tips or end pointers. We typically see that it's not efficient to use rewards that are equal or similar to what any customer can get without acting as an ambassador. What you should do is reward the customers specifically for acting as ambassadors and give them better rewards than they can get by maybe just signing up to a newsletter or checking on some other discount code website. There has to be something in it for the person who actively acts as an ambassador. We typically see that rewards counted as percent, like a 10% rebate or other more complicated offers, typically are less efficient than simpler ones, like 10 euros to shop for or free shipping that on your next order. And this might not sound intuitive to people that work with who are engineers or work at Google or work with economics, because to many of us it's really easy to grasp the concept of a 10% rebate. But we tend to, that's not true for all of our customers. And they're probably not sitting calculating, okay, what's this really worth? But 10 euros or 100 kroners has a very tangible value. You just instinctively know what it's worth, which makes it more attractive. You shouldn't make the referral process look like part of the overall company communication. So if the recommendation that goes out from one friend to another needs to feel personal. It's much better if I send a recommendation to Jonas, when it hits his inbox or his cell phone, that it looks like it's coming from me, not from the company, not from a Redeal or a partner, but directly from Victor to Jonas. That makes it the opening frequency and the interactions become much, much higher. You shouldn't build a referral program that is easily abused. Most of our customers are honest, but whenever there's a discount code or a way to get a discount, some people will use it in ways we don't really want them to. So we need to take fraudulent use into consideration and find solutions to make it easier to treat a referral program the right way than to abuse it and treat it the wrong way. Because we want to reward good behavior. We don't want to give out discounts to people who do the wrong thing. And lastly, I would say that we should try not to give away rewards to customers who haven't really done anything to earn them. This goes back to rewarding good behavior. One thing that we talk with our clients is instead of using maybe discount code sites to spread codes, use a referral mechanism for the part of your customers that are the discount hunters, that at the checkout step they go out online and they look for a discount code. Revert them back to your own website. Say, hey, you can have a discount code, but you have to share an offer with a friend. At least then they're doing something that benefits you to get a reward, instead of just getting a discount and hitting your margins. So these are like typical, very I would say, top line pointers and ideas around the referral marketing. If anyone's interested in knowing more about how we work at Redeal and how our technology for doing this works, we'd be happy to tell you. But it's a bit of a longer process, and it might not be relevant for everyone. So we thought we'd keep it at a top level discussion for today. And as we typically say, it pays to be social. And we really believe that's true. And we believe that your most valuable customers that have the highest lifetime value are also the people that will want to become ambassadors for your brand and talk about it with their friends.
Yeah. Great, thanks. And so we will do a short Q&A. And while you are listening in on that as well, so please take up your phone and use the QR code and fill out the survey, and also give us some feedback on new concept that you would like us to speak about for our future webinars. But while you're doing that, I think Victor, that, for example, well, you worked in e-commerce, and you've been running different e-commerce companies. And one thing that I typically see is that when I meet a lot of e-commerce companies, that it's really, Google Ads is changing so fast, and there's a lot of people thinking that we're doing this good, and customer lifetime value. That I see that there are a lot of people that doesn't really have all the knowledge because it's changing so fast. Like, how did you think about that when you were running e-commerce companies?
Yeah, it's very true. I think we have a tendency, as when you work with e-commerce, it's very easy to treat everything like averages.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like, what is the average spend per customer? What is the average margin for a category of products? When it's really much more complex than that. Some of your customers will be very profitable, and they will be loyal, and they will have very many positive behaviors. And part of your customers are probably not even profitable. So by looking at the range of how different customers act and what they do, for example, by working with lifetime value, you can get a much better understanding on where to put your efforts to make your best customers happy, and not focus too much on making maybe the customers that are not even profitable.
And one thing also that I think is really important, as a start with the challenge that we see, it's really a big difference between profit and it's a really tough challenge. Competition is growing all the time, I think it's just really important to think, like, do we really spend the money where we have the best return long term for the company? Google Ads it's a great platform, but I really think that there's so much potential to get more out of it in the long run. And also, with why we're doing this webinar today, I think the combination of micro-influencer and referral marketing, I think it's a great tool to get more out of it.
Yeah, we have some clients that work with both of our companies, and we typically see that the two services or the two ways of working, it really makes sense. Because then in both ends you're targeting for the best customers that are the most profitable ones.
And also a question for you, Emil, that with this focusing on the technology partner side, it's also something that Google is pushing really hard and investing a lot into to get more tech companies investing in the Google Ads API.
Yeah, I mean, true, really true. I mean, this is a core focus area for us to build these partnerships. I mean, Google Ads API is an open API. All companies can develop on it, and there are many partners of us really using kind of their capabilities. If they have more knowledge about data of their customers, for example, they can really connect that to our products, to Google Ads, and make a better experience of that for their end customers. So we see a lot of traction in this space with innovation around the Ads API. where Keywordio is, of course, one of these partners, but we have multiple globally.
Cool. So thanks for today. Hope you got some new ideas and insights, and we will share the content afterwards, and look forward to talk more with you who are interested to know more about these subjects.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.